In my last video, I showed you my complete home office makeover. This room is all wrong. So for this video, I wanted more laid back, relaxing vibes, and then I will get back to the craziness. For those that are new here, hello, my name is Jerica and I'm a professional soap maker and I do everything out of my little blue cottage on the lake. I share vlogs, I make stuff on this channel, basically share my little world with you guys. So thank you for choosing me to spend a little bit of time with. 8 years ago, I made my first soap in a tiny condo just outside of Toronto. Living in 700 square feet, I was able to create a beautiful soap, and it felt like a miracle. Suddenly, a whole new world of possibilities opened up for me, and I dove headfirst into soap making, which led to bath bomb making, and then lotion making. Today, I'm creating a light summer body butter made from mango butter and sunflower oil that I infused with rhubarb powder. If you had told 8 years younger Jerica that she would be doing this in her kitchen, she wouldn't have believed you. But here I am, and hundreds of body butter batches later, I still can't believe people can do this in their own homes. I've been making all of my own creams, lotions, and body butters for years now, and ever since I started doing that, I never buy from the store anymore. It's one of those things that seem complicated, but then once you actually do it, it's so much easier than it seems. There are a few things though that you have to learn, and I feel like that whole trial period, trying things out and failing, that's super important when making lotion because it's nice to know, it's nice to get that fail experience so that you know what to do to troubleshoot it or to fix a formula. I converted the lower level of my house to a soap studio, and I can't believe how nicely it's come together. I make all of my product that I sell down here, and it's also where I package my orders. I start by making my water and lye solution, and I make soap the cold process way, so yes, I do use lye. Working with lye can be intimidating, but as long as you wear protective eye gear, gloves, and long sleeves, you should be fine. When I first started making soap, I used a basic recipe of olive oil, coconut oil, and palm oil. The soap turned out beautiful, and 8 years later, my current soap recipe isn't that much different. I have added shea butter and hemp seed oil to help make the soap more conditioning, and I also recently removed olive oil entirely due to the rising costs. Everywhere, everyone is feeling the pinch of inflation, and I've had to adjust to keep my soap business profitable. So now that I think about it, my soap recipe is completely different from what I started with. But one thing that hasn't changed is that I still love making soap, and I don't think that passion is going to die anytime soon. My body butter has cooled down enough, and I'm just going to add the preservative and fragrance oil. Over the years, I've learned to trust my instinct more and to get more and more comfortable with making mistakes. In the beginning, creating something and putting it out there for people to judge can be daunting. Friends and family might be shockingly silent and not want to support you in your journey. So when those feelings of doubt creep in on you and you start feeling insecure, remind yourself that no one knows you better than you. Seeking validation from others is often an exhausting and fruitless endeavor. Instead, focus on what your instincts say and divert your energy to that. It's also okay to keep projects to yourself and allow yourself to develop on your own without the influence of others. So here's the final body butter, and this is one of the lighter body butters that I've made, but I absolutely love the texture. It's very fast absorbing, which is nice for summertime. You don't want that super heavy feel when you're putting cream on your skin. And in the summertime, you don't necessarily need it as much as you do during the winter. But let me show you a quick demo on my own arm. It glides on beautifully. And it absorbs right in. There's virtually no soaping effect. And once it's absorbed, which is pretty fast, it leaves the most amazing satin finish, and your skin feels incredibly hydrated without the grease of a heavy just oil and butter body butter. And that's why I'm such a huge fan of emulsified body butters, because they are so much more lightweight and they spread so much more easily. Although I do know that body butters that are made up of just oils and butters have their fans. I'm leaning more towards emulsified because of the feel on my hands afterwards. Feels much better. And the fragrance oil smells so good. But now that I have jarred my body butter, I'm gonna go ahead and finish off those soaps that I've started downstairs. Right now, I'm in a phase where I don't care very much about what others think of my work. For those that support me, yes, you guys are very important and I care about you all. But if the energy is negative, I don't have time for that. This idea of balance might be cliche, but it's honestly so necessary for your mental health and growth. Being passionate about your work and cutting out the noise will help you stay focused and motivated. And if you lose that motivation, there is nothing wrong with taking a step back, doing something else you enjoy, or returning later with fresh eyes. Or you may never come back, and that's okay too. Remember, it's your choice, your life. You have all of the answers you need. I used to care so much about what others thought of me. When I first decided to start a soap business, I was terrified of failure because of what that might do to others' perception of me. I was desperate to succeed, make a lot of sales, and be this amazing business owner who had it all together in a short amount of time. What I quickly realized is that I was putting so much pressure on myself, too much pressure, that I was being really unrealistic about my business trajectory. I was still working a 9 to 5. I was incredibly busy with other life stuff. And there was no way I could have focused on my business in a way that would have made it super successful in a short amount of time. So instead, I began to let go of what others might think of me if I went years without making steady sales or even a profit. I gave myself the gift of grace and time to reach those goals slowly. I've become a huge Bridgerton fan, and one of the actresses on there, Nicola Coughlan, got her start at 31 playing a teenage girl in the popular show Derry Girls. Up until that moment, she had spent over a decade going to auditions and honing in on her craft. Could she have given up the 9 to 5 she was working during this time to go all in on acting and possibly have landed roles sooner? Yeah, but instead she chose to take her time, knowing that greatness and achievement would be there if she took a slower but steady approach. And this is the true secret for getting everything you've ever wanted: balance. The pursuit of your dreams can only be sustained if you have a steady and stable anchor to keep you afloat and in place when the tides get rough. The notion of taking your time and not allowing your passions to consume you may not sound very alluring, but trust me, this is truly what will get you ahead 90% of the time. The reason is because humans are impatient by nature. The majority of us want and need instant gratification. If we put our effort into something and reap zero rewards, most of us will quit and move on to the next shiny thing. But a small number of us persist. Stubbornly, we refuse to take poor sales, failed batches, and general frustrations as a sign we need to try something else. Instead, we see those as building blocks to a foundation of greatness. So, what does balance look like in my life? Well, because I work from home and I run my soap business solo with only occasional help from Kale, I make sure to scale back when I start to feel myself losing control of things. For a lot of people, the idea of entrepreneurship looks like constantly high performing, running full speed to your goals all of the time, and building a large team to sustain that momentum. For me, Entrepreneurship means to make an income that's more than enough for myself and my husband to live on. It means having freedom to scale my business up and down as I want to, and to make decisions on my own terms without the pressure of managing a team whose livelihoods depend on my constant success. While others thrive under that pressure and enjoy extraordinary growth because of it, others just aren't built that way. My weekends used to be consumed by going to farmers markets and events, feeling like I had to do this to keep my revenue high. Now, I live modestly and prioritize mental health over making as much money as possible. Am I saying no to farmers markets forever? No, and that's the beauty of maintaining balance. I'm able to adjust my small business as I go to suit my current needs, which can change in the future. Maybe someday I'll want to sell my products in person again. Maybe one day I'll want to open a storefront. Maybe someday I'll be doing something else entirely. Not allowing my passion to overwhelm me and not allowing others to dictate what my journey should look like has kept my mind clear and open to the possibilities. This last soap I'm making is a lemon lavender soap, and I'm making 25 pounds of it, which is pretty big. It took 8 years to build up from a tiny 2-pound loaf to this massive mold. I'm really glad I didn't make the jump sooner. It's taken me a long time to decide what kind of a soap bar shape I prefer, if my order volume justified adding a slab mold to my equipment, and how to change my techniques in order to be able to even do this successfully. I'm still fairly new to soap making using big slabs like this, and I have made a few mistakes along the way. I've had to learn how to handle this much soap because, trust me, 25 pounds of soap is super awkward and heavy to deal with, and this all takes time. Between that 2-pound loaf and now, I've learned so much, and my business has changed so much, and it continues to evolve even as we speak. In my journey, I've met so many other soap makers whose careers I look up to, even though my small business looks nothing like theirs. And I've long since given up comparing myself to these amazing business owners, and instead have shifted to focusing on myself and seeing what I can improve in myself. It's a lot more productive, and I have 100% more control over what I do versus what others do. So here are all the soaps freshly poured. Yes, it does take a lot of effort, but it's also super, super satisfying. And as much as I would like to cut these soaps for you guys, I wanted to keep this video to a day in the life to show you just how busy a typical day in the life of a soap maker can be who operates their business out of their home. But I will show you the cut in the next video, so stay tuned for that. But with that being said, I think I'm going to wrap this up. And remember, if you want to make that body butter exactly how I made it, you can find the recipe on my Patreon, which is linked down below. And speaking of my Patreon, thank you to everyone who chooses to support me on there. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Thank you so much. But I poured my soaps, I've cleaned up my studio, and now I'm gonna go upstairs and have dinner with my husband.
Hi. Some broccoli.
Yep. Hi,
And you can come out here and see this.
Oh, yum. That looks so good.
Yeah.
Excited for trout tonight?
I am, yep.
Me too.
What was that?
Something fell.
Oh.
This toy fell off the deck.
Poor Gibson.
Aw, we'll get it for you later, Gibbs.